Usually, early Bitcoin whales hate altcoins. You can talk to so many of the early investors in Bitcoin, and really that's the only thing that they'll touch with a 10-foot pole. They think that altcoins are a scam, etc. Well, in this video, I'm going to go over some of the biggest smart money investors in the top AI token in crypto, why it resembles so much of Bitcoin's structure, functionality, tokenomics, and also show you the smart money that is not only investing in TAO, but also building on Bittensor's TAO. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get right into the video. And as usual, guys, drop down below, hit that like button, and subscribe to the channel for more every single week here on In the Game. We have you covered Monday through Friday, every single weekday to make sure that you have everything you need to win in cryptocurrency. On top of that, guys, I will leave links in the description for everything that we use in this video and some of the platforms, and also a shout out to our sponsors. You can check out our sponsors down below in the description as well. Let's go ahead and dive right into it, guys, as I do think it's interesting. If we look at the market right now, we are seeing probably the next leg down, right? We saw this big run from 60 all the way up to the mid 70s. Now we're seeing Bitcoin down now it's actually up over the hourly, but it is down about 4% on the daily. And a lot of altcoins are also getting hit. But if you look at the one strength coin in the market, Bittensor TAO is only down about what Bitcoin is, right? And usually whenever Bitcoin tanks, we see altcoins take a heavy hit. And Bittensor TAO is holding up strong. And obviously, if you've been following the channel for quite some time, or even recently, you know I am a crazy bull on what is being built at Bittensor. And I think you have to have your hands in the pie whenever it comes to the future of decentralized crypto AI platforms. And that is exactly what Bittensor is doing. Bittensor is by far the king of AI tokens, the best AI token in the entire industry. And of course, over this month, I mean, it's up 77% on the 30-day timeline. And I want to dive into what exactly is catching the eye of some of these big early adopters on the blockchain. And whenever I show you some of these people building on TAO and who believe in TAO, I think it's really going to open your eyes, because like I said, a lot of people are Bitcoin maxis. They get into the space. They think everything else is a scam. They would have laughed at us at 2024 when we were investing in meme coins. But nonetheless, some altcoins do break through. People see the vision with stuff like Hyperliquid or stuff like Bittensor TAO. And we're going to go over that here in this video. And this would make sense. We do see the tokenomic structure between Bitcoin and Bittensor actually resembling each other quite heavily. And if we see here and we just walk through, first and foremost, it is 21 million tokens. So the maximum supply of the Bittensor TAO token is the exact same max supply as Bitcoin. You can also see here by market cap, each of them are in the top 30. Of course, Bitcoin is number one. There's 21 million TAO. There's 21 million Bitcoin. It's deflationary. Every single 4 years, there is a halving on both Bitcoin and on Bittensor. The block time is faster on Bittensor. The consensus mechanism is YC, whereas on Bitcoin, it is proof of work. We see here the utility staking, subnets, and the T utility is transaction fees on Bitcoin. ETF status is pending, and ETF status is, of course, already approved on Bitcoin. We see here 128 specialized subnets. We'll talk a little bit more about subnets here in the middle of this video. And it's a limited ecosystem on Bitcoin. If you're not really building rails with payment rails or with institutions, there's not a lot of applications built on top of Bitcoin. AI outputs and GPU compute. And you can see here the hash power mining. And of course, there's nothing AI related being built on top of Bitcoin at a high level. So you can see from a tokenomics perspective, the comparison between Bitcoin and Bittensor, very similar. The structure, the halving cycles, etc. On top of that, you can also see some of the benefits that Bittensor has over what Bitcoin is currently doing. So of course, you're seeing why Bittensor is doing what it's doing, and it is the best AI coin in all of crypto by far. And let's get into those Bitcoin whales that I was talking about. So there are some very early Bitcoin bulls that have really full-blown shifted over to Bittensor TAO and have seen that vision, such as Barry Silbert. I think Barry Silbert was one of the first major, big, early Bitcoin bulls to come in here and start building on top of what is going on at Bittensor. First and foremost, he's a chairman with Grayscale. And if you know anything, Grayscale does have the Bittensor TAO trust. Like it is like a, I think they call it GTAO. So it's Grayscale TAO. They are allowing their institutional accredited investors to invest in Bittensor. And you can see Barry Silbert is a chairman at Grayscale. I would assume that he had something to do with that. But if we look here, he's the founder and CEO of Digital Currency Group, which builds and supports Bitcoin and blockchain companies through its insights network and access to capital. In 2012, Barry became one of the first and most active investors in the Bitcoin space. He also provided seed round funding for Coinbase, Ripple, BitPay, and a number of other companies. DCG is now comprised of Grayscale, Genesis Trading, CoinDesk, and a portfolio of over 90 investments in 27 countries. And if we look at his current venture, right? Barry Silbert is the founder and CEO of Yuma Group. Now I want to move over here. Yuma Group is basically an all-in-one fund built on top of Bittensor TAO that gives you all-in-one access to the subnets. So you can see here, the staking from subnets went from $0 to $691 million in 13 months. Only 19% of total TAO is in subnets, but the Yuma Foundation and the Yuma Fund is actually the one place you can come to and get your exposure into all of these different subnets. They basically cover a broad scale of what is going on here on the Bittensor TAO network. And this is all powered and founded by Bitcoin OG Barry Silbert. So smart people who have come into this ecosystem, not just people who are like, okay, I see AI being built, I'm just going to attach everything to this. I'm going to drop everything and go into it. Or, you know, we've seen many altcoins come and go over the course of time. But with Barry Silbert's track record, he wouldn't have gone all in on Yuma and probably getting Grayscale to do the Grayscale TAO if it wasn't something that he thinks can be revolutionary for the crypto space. And of course, we see the subnet ecosystem. Subnets right now are absolutely booming. We can see here the flow on the monthly time frame. There's only a few subnets that have negative flow, and subnets are basically startup layers being built on top of the Bittensor network. So you're basically investing in the AI decentralized platform that people come in, build infrastructure, and build their startups on top of. That is Bittensor. The subnets are a bunch of startups like Y Combinator in the traditional space that are all competing for emissions from the Bittensor TAO Foundation. Every single day they get emissions. You can see Templar as at about 8% daily emissions. And Templar probably will be the first subnet, as Money Lord says, to trade eventually at $1 billion. It is currently at about $100 million. And of course, I do see so much growth in the future for Bittensor TAO subnets. So Barry Silbert sees the vision. He's literally built Yuma Group to be an all-in-one source to be able to get exposure to the TAO ecosystem and into TAO subnets. And look, this is like, we all know AI is basically the early internet. Like, knowing AI is going to give you such an edge as to what the early internet was. And I think that that's so important to be able to take advantage of. And I think crypto is going to have a big part in that. Yesterday's video, I talked about my future top 10, kind of my projections on where I think projects are going to land in the future. And I think that Bittensor TAO can firmly be in 2030 a top 10 project. Leader in AI, the Y Combinator of AI, but rooted in tokenomics, not funding every single project left and right like a VC or like an Animoca Brands. And there's so many other brilliant minds building on top of Bittensor. We have Mark Jeffrey, who's the partner at the Bittensor Fund, Still Core Capital, alongside Jason, who he's on the All In podcast. He's been absolutely bullish across the board this month on what is going on at Bittensor TAO. So, you know, Mark Jeffrey, Still Core Cap, wants to own 1% of the total supply of Bittensor. We also see TAO Stats, the platform we've been using to go over all of these subnets. You can see the subnet total price. We can go to the homepage here. You can see the TAO price. You can see which validators are getting the most stakes. You can see the blocks, the transfers between the network. It really is like an advanced explorer, but with data where you can kind of take a look at these subnets and figure out and get a feel for the ecosystem. And the founder of this has actually founded 6 subnets. He built the wallet for the platform, the Explorer, the mobile app, runs one of the largest validators on Bittensor. If you go look at the validators here, they're the second highest validator on the network. So you have brilliant minds coming in here. You have stuff that NVIDIA is catching eyes on. Jensen Huang talking about what Templar is doing as a breakthrough in technology for decentralized AI. We see Targan working alongside Intel with their technology. So look, I think it is not just crypto Twitter. It's not just YouTube. It's not just me or any of the other TAO bulls that you see out there across these different platforms. It is early stage Bitcoin whales and money and builders and hedge funds and talking heads that have had many successful entries on previous billion dollar unicorn companies whenever it comes to stuff like Coinbase, Ripple, etc. And I really do think that Bittensor can be that diamond in the rough in the top 30. If you could find one token that could probably 5 to 10x in its current market cap standard from 3 billion to 15 billion, I don't see a world why Bittensor couldn't go to that $15 billion level. So, when you see brilliant minds behind it, like we just mentioned, I really think it's going to be a no-brainer. I'll leave links down below to a couple of things. TAO stats. If you want to take a look at the ecosystem for yourself, it's all there, right? I mean, the halving cycle, the distribution, the tokenomics are resembling Bitcoin, but in a way that incentivizes the platforms building on Bitcoin, whereas Bitcoin doesn't really have this ecosystem. And there is an ecosystem on Bitcoin, don't get me wrong, but it's not this extremely fast, efficient ecosystem that it has so many different flourishing startups all built on the Bitcoin network. It's just, that's not how it is in 2026, right? Most people aren't even sending Bitcoin peer-to-peer or, layer or using it as payments. Like other platforms are faster. And when you look at Bittensor TAO's strengths, using their network is one of the fastest things you can do. And really, when you see what is going on this network, I think it is one of the biggest no-brainer investments in the top 30. And I'm not alone. Early Bitcoin money and brilliant startup founders are building and going all in, really, quite frankly, on the Bittensor TAO ecosystem. So I just kind of wanted to go over a little bit of the big brains behind what's happening at Bittensor and kind of putting some of these core ecosystem elements together and why I'm banking big on Bittensor. Look, if Bitcoin crashes here, let's just be transparent. Before we close out this video, my long-term price target is absolutely $1,000 plus. I think that this can be a 4-digit plus token, but I have to caveat, the price can absolutely tank. This is not, it's going to go to $1,000 from here. If Bitcoin goes to $45,000, which is actually possible, that could happen in the next 4 months, right? And it could be a slow burn. We could see a cheaper Bittensor TAO. I don't mind that. I can scoop more because I see where this ecosystem is going. And there's only going to be more and more startups coming in here to try to build on Bittensor TAO and get a share of those emissions every single day. So quite frankly, I don't mind if there's a price dip. And this is not it's going to go up only vertically forever type of coin. But I do think over the long term, there's not many tokens in crypto that you can rely on for steady growth in the future like Bittensor. So definitely could be volatility if Bitcoin does show some shaky price action coming up, but I have no issues continuing to DCA at lower prices. So guys, like the video down below and subscribe to the channel for more. I'll see you guys on Monday. As always, trade responsibly, my friends. And even though the market is taking a little bit of a slide, stay bullish, my friends.